Welcome back to the podcast brought to you by MarketScale. I'm your host, Taylor Standridge. I always have the utmost pleasure talking to some of the coolest guests, including this one, Kari. She represents Madison Wood. She handles account management as well as some marketing, even some strategic planning, and we're really fortunate to have her on the show today.
Well, Kari, I know that from your title, it sounds like you manage accounts and also marketing, but from what I understand, you actually handle a lot of other things in the company. You even have your own manager trainee program. Can you kind of explain kind of what your role is in that?
Sure. So I'm not really sure what my job title especially is here. We go by account manager because it's easier. Predominantly, I serve as a sales rep to multiple independent retail lumber yards. I also head up our marketing program here and advocate for claims. But I do a bit of in-house strategic planning, and that's kind of where the MAD skills, the management training comes into play. The goal is kind of to improve our company full circle from reputation to employee morale.
That's awesome. Well, I know that your dad is actually the president of the company currently, but I don't think he was the one that founded it. It was 4 people, including the CEO, I think, who started it in 1959. What was it like for your dad to ask you to join on at Madison Wood?
My father has worked here for 36 years plus, and one day we sat down for lunch, and I was working as a vocational counselor. I loved my job doing human services, and he kind of just put it out there that he was going to have an open position, kind of seeking vocational advice on did I know anybody in the area that would be interested? And I told him he needed a smart young female because the industry seemed eat up with middle-aged men. And he basically just randomly asked me if I'd be interested. I told him absolutely not. That was kind of his world, and I didn't want anything to do with it. Especially working for your father, that can be a really difficult thing. And I just didn't want to compromise our relationship that we had. But I went home and I looked at salary differences and kind of my mobility opportunity and human services. And it just seemed like I needed to take that interview. So I sat down and interviewed with my boss, who's Joe Woodward, and we just hit it off. Been 5 years into the lumber business ever since.
That's crazy. And this company started small, but now it's been recognized as like the world's greatest lumber treater. That was actually recognized on national TV and even receiving awards for agribusiness environmental awards from the Virginia Agribusiness Council. Like, what does that look like, to be a part of a company that's really environmentally sound?
Yeah, I mean, the really cool thing is it started out small, like you said, and our operation was very unique and small. And to this day, you have treaters that are so much bigger than us, but we're so quality oriented. And because we only have our one location, we're really able to hold on to that. And I think it allows us to get some of these awards because we're not just trying to service and provide lumber for everybody. We're just trying to do it for the guys that want the top quality that we feel like the industry demands.
Well, one thing I'm seeing in the industry is I'm actually seeing treaters going more towards the all-ground contact trend. Can you kind of elaborate more on that?
Yeah, I think the trend really is that retailers are going all-ground contact. They're kind of making that decision proactively. Treaters, I believe we're the only treater in our geographic location that has actually made the switch to all-ground contact. And it's a really interesting subject. You're kind of in my wheelhouse now. It's really hard for our industry to get trends or concepts passed all the way down to the consumer. So these trends tend to mask themselves as rules in our industry just because it makes it easier to have them understand. So, for instance, most people don't understand that your average 1x, 2x, 5/4 material gets sent out at an above ground retention, which means it can't touch the ground at all, right? Did you have any idea that the 2-inch material that you buy from a big box store couldn't touch the ground?
I had no idea that was even a rule.
Yeah, so there's retention levels on the tags, and it says if it can be used to touch the ground or not. And a lot of contractors don't even know that that's a thing. So in 2017, the rules actually progressed. And AWPA, which is kind of our leader, said that you can't have above ground treated lumber within 6 inches of the ground. It can't come into contact with debris. It can't be a structural member. And my favorite is it has to be easy to replace, which as a female, I have no problem telling you that I don't consider anything easy to replace if I got to take my salary going and replacing it. So it's kind of a crazy rule because on one hand, not everybody knows and understands that concept. And on the other hand, who's responsible at the end of the day for that misapplication? Even when you're one of our favorite things to talk about is a fence. Like, tell me about the last time that you built a fence that was above 6 inches off the ground and doesn't have any leaves or grass touching it. I mean, that's crazy, right? To some extent.
That's nuts.
But people don't know. And so that's why Madison Wood as a treater made that switch, because as a treater, we feel like we should only sell products at ground contact retentions. That way, the consumer doesn't have to know the rules. They know they're safe. If they look for the big MW, which is our tagline, they know they don't have to worry about it. I think the biggest argument for other treaters not going ground contact is that they can still sell at a cheaper cost. There are appropriate uses for above ground, and they're not wrong when they say that. We just feel that as an industry, it creates such a disservice to our consumers because it's impossible for a retailer to know every single use category of every piece of lumber that they sell. And it's impossible for your consumer to know the latest rules on where they can use the product. So, to us, we know that most people assume treated is treated.
Exactly. Yeah. They kind of have to put their trust in you.
Right. So Madison's proactive approach, we agree, isn't for everyone. But our retailers have confidence selling a product that misapplication costs won't fall back in their laps. And we feel confident selling it that way.
So it kind of sounds like if you're selling wood at above ground retentions, you're kind of playing Russian roulette with how your customers see you. Is that right?
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. I mean, in 5 of the scenarios, you're going to be great, but that 6th one might ruin your reputation forever.
It really can. So it's kind of like a risk that you have to decide if you're willing to take or not. So one thing I'm seeing at Madison Wood that I really want to hear more about is you guys are I think you guys are starting out doing a certified installer program. Can you kind of expand more on that?
Yeah, so the certified installer program is really cool. It gives us a chance to talk to contractors and have real discussions. So we call it our mini test, but that's kind of our inside joke. It's not a test at all. It's just discussion points that we bring up with contractors, consumers, retailers, any kind of, any professional that wants to learn about our product. We want them to make sure that they understand the answer before they walk out the door, right? So it's not a test or a situation where it's a pass or fail. It's a, hey, let's talk about why this is the correct answer, why Madison Wood does it the way that we do, how we're being proactive for you. And it's kind of a collaboration.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about is you had an interesting start in that you were young and you saw this industry as kind of like, no, this is my dad's thing. But as we look towards the future, a lot of these upper management people are, they're heading out the door, they're retiring. And so what can you say is on the horizon for this industry specifically that you're in? And how would you encourage younger people to consider more of what you're doing now?
One of the things that I think that Madison Wood, we want to predominantly focus on is the needs of the future generation. And so when we talk about that, we're talking about human resources, we're talking about enticing young professionals to join, but we're also talking about making that transition from the guys that have worked here for forever that are looking at retiring in 5 to 10 years to maintaining our authenticity as to why this company was started in the first place. I'm a big believer of kind of why you do what you do. And I think that companies that hold on to that tend to be more successful long term. We created a basically like a training here called Mad Skills, where we take our right-hand men of all of our current managers and we basically sit them in a room and we discuss live topics where, right now we're talking about what we should do with sick leave. Should we create a different policy for sick leave? Should we do evaluations a little bit differently so it caters to the employee? I mean, we're talking about real live policies and scenarios and things that we can do to improve this company. It gives our right-hand man a chance to sit in that seat. It gives them an opportunity to have some ownership in the company. And it maintains the authenticity to have the guys that have ran this place forever to sit in a room and explain why they've done the things they've done for so long. And I think those conversations aren't had with a lot of companies when they transition. And it's one of the crucial points that I think will maintain Madison being strong for years to come.
Well, I definitely love that. It seems like the Mad Skills class in the training program really allows the next generations to kind of retain that why statement of why you guys do things on a daily basis. And just like you said, to maintain that authenticity. And also to see why your business has been successful and to continue to do things that way, just to keep on ensuring your success. So I absolutely love that Madison Wood is absolutely investing in the future, and they're also investing in their current employees, just doing those, once again, like you were saying earlier, making your company great all the way around. So I really am appreciative of you joining the show today, Kari. I am seeing something. If our listeners want to follow more about what you do at Madison Wood, or if they want to find out like how they can join your team, I see that you guys have a newsletter called Mad Word. Can you kind of explain what we would be able to see in a Mad Word newsletter?
Yeah, so Mad Word covers it's focused towards retailers. So we're really pushing out information that is retailer friendly, saying, when to buy, or what items we have that are specialty products that we're, trying to reveal. So it's a little bit more geared to that, but we do have a lot of Mad Words that we send out on best practices, on typical conversations, discussions that need to be had with just common consumers and maintaining their deck appearance. So there's lots of stuff that they could learn. The best way to do it is just to get on our website, and there's a sign up button under Mad Word, and you just click it, and it'll come straight to me, and I will be able to sign you up. And then in future articles that might be of some interest to you as a consumer, I would certainly send it your way.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kari, for just sharing your story and also just about the industry in general. I mean, it's great to talk to somebody who's so environmentally sound and works with a company that, just cares about their employees so much, and they're doing great work in the wood treating business. So I really thank you for just sharing your insights on the show. It's obvious that you're a thought leader, and that your title doesn't necessarily give enough credit to how much you actually know. So we really got to see, your highlighted knowledge on the show. So we do appreciate you being on here today.
Well, thank you so much. And I just encourage anybody that's interested in any kind of treated lumber just to look for the Big MW, because I promise you we are at the forefront of trying to provide the best material that we can on the market, full circle. So madwood.com, just go look us up, and any questions that people have, we are more than willing to talk about them.
And make sure to look for the Big MW. It's going to be from Madison Wood. Thank you so much just to Kari for sharing about her company and just the amazing stuff that they're doing. If you want to find out more about her company, you can go to madwood.com. They also have a newsletter that you can follow. It's Mad Word. All you got to do is go to their website, and you can find it there and sign up for free. They got tons of cool resources and also tons of great content coming out of there. If you want to follow MarketScale, just go to marketscale.com and look up all the latest podcasts that we're doing. We're interviewing top industry leaders about the industry, finding out what's on the horizon, and talking to people just like Kari who know exactly what they're doing. They're knowing what the trends are. They know what's happening in the next few years to come. So make sure to check it out. MarketScale.com is going to be the place that you can go to find out all the latest blogs, news minutes, and of course podcasts just like this. Until then, I'm your host Taylor Standridge. We'll see you next time.